In this video, I'm gonna show you how to set up RPCS3, PS3 Emulator for PC. This will be a full setup guide including how to add your games and the best settings, updates, enhancement patches, DLCs, and how to import save files too. Without wasting any time, let's get going. The emulator is available here on this website. I'll put the link down below in the description, and it is very important to look at the PC requirements of RPCS3. It requires much more of your CPU than your GPU, and at the very least, you need a CPU with 4 cores and 8 threads, so you can at least start the games here, but the performance won't be that good on most games. So for the recommended specs, it is a CPU with at least 6 cores and 12 threads. There's also a CPU ranking spreadsheet where you can see what CPUs performs better on RPCS3 so you can compare with yours. I'll drop the link of that on the description too. Take your time to read through all of this, and to download, you're gonna click here on the top on the download button. And this emulator is available for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. This tutorial is for Windows 10 and 11. So right here on the page, you're gonna click here on the download button to get started. It will come as a zipped file, so you're gonna have to extract it, and you can use either WinRAR or 7-zip for that. I would personally recommend using 7-zip. I'll put the link of that on the description of the video as well. And right here on this file, you just have to click on it with the right button, select WinRAR or 7-zip, and then click on extract here. It will generate all of these files. You can go ahead and delete the original zip file. We're not gonna need this anymore. And to start the installation, you just have to double click here on rpcs3.exe, and this window will show up. And there are a few settings here. I would not recommend using the dark theme yet. We can configure this later. And just go ahead and click here on do not show again. And I have read the quick start guide, so we can click on continue. So go ahead and click here, and just like that, the emulator will appear here. The first thing we have to do here is install the PS3 firmware, and we can get that on the official PlayStation website. This is the place right here. I'll also put the link on the description of this video. And right here, you want to scroll down a little bit to this page and go to where it says how to update PS3 system software, and you're gonna click here on update using a computer. It will unlock this next section, and right here you just have to click on download PS3 update to get the firmware. But if the download doesn't start when you click here, then you have to click on this button with the right button on your mouse, and then you're gonna click on copy link address, and you're gonna paste the link on your browser, and then you're gonna press enter, and the download should start that way. So go ahead and download the firmware. I dropped the firmware file on the same location as the emulator itself. It is this file right here, ps3update.pup. Now you want to open the emulator once again, and you're going to click here on file and then click on install firmware. It should open the emulator folder by default, so now you just have to double click on PS3 update to install the firmware. In case this file is not showing up here, then you have to come here to the bottom right side of the screen and then click on PS3 update file, and then you're gonna select all files. This way it's going to list everything on this folder, including the firmware file. So go ahead and double click on that, and it will install the firmware. This shouldn't take long right here. When this window show up, click on OK, then just wait until this is finished. This will be a good time to subscribe to the channel and also leave a like on this video. To add games on this emulator, you're gonna go back to the folder where you dropped all the files, and you're gonna notice this folder here called games that was already installed by the emulator when we did the setup. This is the default location that the emulator will scan for games. For this guide, I'm gonna be using the digital version RIP of Metal Gear Solid 4 on the PS3 and the physical disc RIP of Tekken 6. For games on the physical format, when you dump them into the PC, you're gonna have files very similar to this one. But for games on a digital format, you're gonna have the PKG and the RAP file for that game. And it's also important to not rename the file names as well, otherwise you can get an error when installing the game. For games on the physical format, to make them show up on the emulator is as simple as just restarting the emulator here. So when you add the game, You just have to reopen the emulator again, and it will show up here. If they don't show up, you can also click here on File, and then click on Add Games, and just click on the Games folder once, and then click on Select Folder. But for games on the PKG format, one of the ways you can get them here is by clicking on File, and then Install Packages. It should open the emulator folder by default, so now you're gonna double click the games folder, double click on the game folder, and you can just select both the PKG and RAP in one go by just pressing and hold the left button on your mouse, like this. Then you just click here on Open. It will install the game on the emulator, and this can take a little long depending on how big the game is. And when it's done, it will appear right here. The emulator will tell you if that game is digital or physical too. Now, if you want to remove a game, if that game is on the digital format, all you have to do is click on it with the right button, select Remove, and then click on Remove HDD Game. But if it's a disc game, you just have to delete the game folder right here under Games, and just delete the entire folder of the game and restart the emulator. Some games require an installation process in order for them to work on the PS3, and it's also the same here on the emulator too. So in that case, just to be sure that you got rid of everything, you're gonna click here on Dev HDD 0, then click on Game, and you should see a folder here with the serial code of the game, this serial code right here. So you can also delete the folder that contains that data here as well, just to make sure that you deleted everything regarding that game. Games that had update patches on the PS3 also needs to be updated here on the emulator, and RPC will tell you if there are patches available here and how far they go. There are two ways that I know of where you can update your games on this emulator. The first one is by using a program called Rusty-PSN, and the second one is by using Discord. I'm gonna show you both of them so you can choose which one works the best for you, starting with Rusty-PSN. This app is available right here on this page of GitHub. I'll put the link on the description. And here you just have to click here on whatever it is the latest release available. And right here under Assets, for Windows, you're gonna click here on Rusty-PSN UGI Windows.zip. Go ahead and click here to download, and you can put that on the same RPCS3 folder if you want to keep things on the same place. Okay, so I already have the file here with me. You're gonna have to extract this with either WinRAR or 7-zip again. But before that, what I like to do here to keep things organized is to create a new folder here on the emulator to keep just the patch files. So for that, you're gonna right click here on this folder and then click on New Folder. I'm gonna call this Updates, but you can name it whatever you want. And now we can proceed with the installation here. So on the Rusty-PSN file, if you double click on that, it's gonna have a single .exe file inside. Now you just have to drag and drop the file from outside the folder, or you can just right click on the zip, select WinRAR or 7-zip, depending on what you have, and then click on Extract here. You can delete the original zip file. We're not gonna need this anymore. And to start, you just have to double click here on Rusty-PSN.exe. Gonna open up as such. And first thing you're gonna do is click here on the little gear and change the download path to that one updates folder we got. So click on Pick Folder, navigate to the RPCS3 folder, click on the updates folder once, and then click on Select Folder. There you go. Now click on Save Settings. And to get the updates for any game, you're gonna need the serial code, and we can get that on the emulator right here, this code. So you're gonna right click on the game you're trying to patch, and then click on the option on the bottom, Copy Info, then click on Copy Serial. Now go back to Rusty-PSN. Now paste the code right here, right click, paste, or you can press Ctrl V, and then click on Search for Updates. Then it will list all the updates available for that one game. There's only one for Tekken 6, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on Download File, wait until it's finished. Now go back to the emulator, click on File, and then Install Packages. On the emulator folder, double click on the Updates folder. There's gonna be another folder with the serial code of the game, double click on that, and inside the patch in a PKG file. So now you can just double click on it, click on Yes to install, and there you go. the game is now patched. For the second method, if you don't have one already, you need to create an account on Discord right here. And when you had that, you're gonna head over to the link on the description to join the RPCS3 Discord server. You just have to click here on Join Server and it will take you there. Now on the Discord server, you're gonna browse here through the channels, and on the off topic here, you're gonna click on this bot span channel. Now here where it says message bot span, you're gonna type the following: !PSN space check space update space, and you're gonna type the serial code of the game you want to get patches to. You can get the serial code on the emulator right here. It is this code, so you can just right click your game, click on the option from the bottom, copy info, and then click on copy serial. Now go back to the Discord server and you're gonna paste the code right here. Right click and then click on paste here, or you can just press Ctrl V. Now you're gonna press enter, and in just a matter of few seconds, the bot will find the updates for your game. Now you just have to click here on this file to download the patch. With the patch installed, you're gonna click here on File and then click on Install Packages. Navigate to the location where the patch is, and now you just have to double click on the PKG file, click on Yes to install the package, and there you go, the game is now updated. It is important to say that for games that have multiple patches available, you need to download and install all of the patches here, not just the latest one available. If you got them from Discord, you have to click on all of these files here, and on Rusty-PSN, there is an option to download all the patches in just one go. And when you are about to install them on the emulator, it is important to select the one from the top and then bring your mouse down to the bottom. So that way they're gonna show up in order when you click on open. You should see a selection screen right here, so make sure that they are in order, and if they are, go ahead and click on install. If you want to remove patches, that can be done here on the emulator. You just have to click here on view and then go to game categories, and you're gonna select game data right here. And if there are patches for your game, it's gonna show up in here under as PS3 game data. So now you just have to right click on this file, select remove, and then click on remove PS3 game data. There's a lot of games on this emulator that works just fine if you use the default settings, but there's also another bunch of games that require specific settings in order to work fine. And the best way that you can find the best settings for each game is here on the RPCS3 wiki. On this page, you're gonna click here on the search icon, and you're gonna type the name of the game you want to play. I'm gonna use Metal Gear Solid 4 as an example. So when you type the game, press enter here, and it should take you to the wiki page of that game. And here you can find the best settings for that game at the moment. That is because as the emulator updates and gets better, these settings might change here, so it's important to keep check on this page to see if you're running on the best settings possible at the time. You can also check here on the bottom the no issues occurring with this game and the potential fix for each one of them. And there are two ways you can change the settings on the emulator. The first one is by clicking here on config, but the settings you select here are gonna work for all games that you currently have installed. So instead, I would recommend that you right-click the game you're going to change the settings, and you're gonna click here on Create Custom Configuration. That way, the settings that you choose are only gonna be applied to one game. Another feature of this emulator are the so-called game patches, and they are already built in on the emulator itself when you install a game. To check if your game has them, you just have to right-click the game and then select Manage Game Patches. This window will show up, and on the first time, it's going to ask you if you want to download the latest patches available. Go ahead and click on yes. And if there are patches available, they're going to show up in here. Just click on this little arrow. It will list the version of the game these patches are available. And when you click on that, you're going to see a list of them. Not only these patches can improve the performance of the game by disabling certain effects like shadows and lighting and stuff like that, but they can also enhance the experience as well by doing stuff like unlock the FPS, higher aspect ratios, and in some games it also has cheat codes as well, like infinite ammo or no reload cheat codes. And to activate then, you just have to click on the cheats you want, enable, and when you click on apply and then save, the next time you boot the game, those game patches will take place. The wiki page containing the best settings for each game will also have a section dedicated to the best game patches you can use in a game as well to get even more performance or to fix an issue. For configuring your controller, this emulator supports a bunch of devices out there from Xbox and PlayStation and even third-party controllers as well if they have the usual X input and direct input APIs. And you can play with a keyboard as well. For the controller setup, if you don't have your controller connected, go ahead and do that right now. And when it's connected, you're gonna click here on pads and this window will show up. And this emulator has a automatic mapping function. So the first thing you want to do is click here on handlers on keyboard and it's going to list all the devices supported. So choose the controller you have. In my case, I'm using a Xbox controller, so it's X input right here. And when you do so, right here on devices, you're gonna see that the controller port 1 is connected and available. And that's pretty much all you have to do here. If you want to change individual inputs, then you just have to click on the one you want to change, then press that button on your controller like this, and it will work. And if you're going to play couch co-op, you just have to click here on Player 2 tab and do the exact same configuration as before, but for the second controller you have connected. And when you're done, go ahead and click here on Save. For importing save files to this emulator, the first thing we need to do is head over to the location on the emulator where the save files are stored. And the easiest way to get there is by clicking here on Manage, then click on Save Data. The Save Manager window will show up, and by clicking on your game here, you're gonna then click on View Folder and it will take you there. But if this option is grayed out, that means you didn't play the game enough to the point where the emulator could create a save file. You know that screen when you first start a game and it says no save data found, creating a new save data right now, something like that, right? When you get past the screen, then the save data will be in place and you can click on it. So by clicking on that option, it will take you to the place where your save files are gonna be. But it's very important for you to know that if you are importing a save file from another RPCS3, then you just have to copy and paste that save file on this folder and then replace with the ones you have, and it will work just fine. But if you are importing that from a PS3, that save file needs to be decrypted before you can use it here on the emulator. And one of the ways you can do that is by using this app here, the Apollo Save Tool. This was made for PS3, but it works just fine on the emulator as well. So on this page of GitHub, I'll put the link on the description. You're gonna click here on whatever it is the latest version available, and under Assets, you're gonna download this file right here, apollo.ps3.pkg. I already downloaded the file and I placed it on the emulator folder here because this is a PKG file, so it needs to be installed. So now you're gonna go back to the emulator, click on File, and then click on Install Packages. Now navigate to the folder where you downloaded the Apollo file, double click on it, click on Yes to install, and just like that, it will appear right here. Before running Apollo, I'm gonna grab a save file for Tekken 6, and GameFAQs is one place where you can get a bunch of save files for your games. And there is one here for Tekken 6 that has a 100% save for the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this download, and I'm gonna place this file to the folder where my save files from Tekken 6 are located. That save file that I got from GameFAQs is a zip file. So if I open this one, you're gonna see that I have files exactly like the ones in game, but these ones are not decrypted, like I explained. So I'm gonna grab everything here and just drag and drop to this file. It will ask to replace them. Go ahead and do that. They are now in place. I'm gonna delete the zip file here, and we have to decrypt these files here. So now I'm gonna start the Apollo Save 2. Just double click on it. When you open it for the first time, it's going to compile these PPO modules. This is normal, but it shouldn't take long to complete here. Now inside the Apollo Save 2, you're gonna head over here to HDD Saves, click on this one, and you should see a list of the games you currently have a save file for. So press the X button And then you're gonna click here on decrypt save game files, and it should open all the save files for that game. In this case, for Tekken 6, there are 3 files in here, but there are games out there that could have even more files or less too. But whatever is the case, you're gonna click on each one of them to decrypt everything. I'm gonna start with this ghost.save file. There you go, successfully decrypt. Open again, do the same for the second, and one more time. There you go. You're noticing that it's saying here on screen the folder location where the decrypted files are located. That is where we're gonna head over right now. So after you're done decrypting this, you can close this program. And now you're gonna open your RPCS3 folder, and that folder is located here. Double click on dev HDD0, then the TMP folder, and then the Apollo folder, a folder with the serial code of your game, and inside we have the decrypted files. So you're gonna copy everything here, select everything, right click, copy, and you're gonna paste this on your game's save file location. We can't just do the same as before. Click on manage, save data, click on your game, view folder, and now just paste the files. Right click the folder, paste. It will ask you to replace the files in the destination. Click on yes, and there you go. The save files are ready and good to go. For installing DLC, the process is the same as if you were installing a digital game. You're gonna click here on File, and then Install Packages. Now you just navigate to the location where the DLC files are. In my case, I got the Samurai DLC pack for Tekken 6, and you need both the PKG and the RAP. Do not rename the files, and the DLC has to be from the same region as the game. Now click on Open, and there you go, the DLC is in place. And to remove them is the same as the game updates. You're gonna click on View, Game Categories, and enable Game Data here, and there's the DLC, so you can just right click on that, remove, and then remove PS3 Game Data. You can also add custom covers to your games as well, and even a GIF that plays when you put your mouse on top of your game here. In fact, by using this slider here, you can increase the image size of your games here too, and there's also a grid mode as well that you can mess around with. And to add a custom image, you just have to right click the game, go to Custom Images, and then click on Import Custom Icon. By default, it only selects images on the PNG format, but if you click here, and select all files, you can use a JPEG image as well. So now you just double click on the image and it will do the change. And you just have to do the same thing for the GIF. Right click, custom images. Now import hover GIF, select the one you want, double click on that, and there you go. Finally, you can start playing your games. So you just have to double click on the one you want to play. And to go full screen, you can either double click the screen or you can press Alt and Enter on your keyboard. I have many videos like this on the channel covering how to install and play games on PC with the best settings for performance and graphics, so if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and as always, I'll see you soon.